Oh Lord. Hello once again, Abd'l-Baha. My name is Abd'l-Baha. I am the elder of Baha'u'llah. Today is 11th. Today is actually 17th of the April, Monday. Times is 11 o'clock, 7 minutes past 11. And I'm going to continue this explanations of the Blessed Mathnavi of Baha'u'llah. How often, in my experience, I thought I know something and I'm ready to go and just say it. And when a year passes, in the case with the writing of Baha'u'llah, but generally the writings, and when I read the same thing, I found that I don't know a few things now. Still, I have to think. I have to figure this out. It seems to be new. This is why Mr. Furutan used to say that, oh, I read so many times, some answered questions, and every time I read it, I found something new. It seems as we grow and we change, the coordinates of our understanding change relative to the time and the space and age, weakness, experience. The same book, the same object looks differently. And this part of the writing of Baha'u'llah in this Mathnavi is not very easy to understand it. Of course, I have a feeling, kind of instinctive feeling, that I know what he's saying, but now try to translate that in a form of words to say what it is. The first line here should have been a part of the last speech really, but there was no room, so I had to bring it here right now. It starts with saying بلکه از الهان قدس ای یار ما. Let me take this things with me, it helps me. So بلکه از الهان قدس ای یار ما دور کن هم هوش و بیهوشی ز ما. Translation is basically, but by the holy melodies. Quds means sanctified, divine, holy. Alhan is a plural for lahan. It's an Arabic word. Alhan means melodies, tunes. It says, but by the divine melodies, by the holy melodies, O our beloved. O yar means beloved, friend, ma ours. Durkun, cast away. In this case, ham means again, in this case here it means both. Both hush, which means intelligence, consciousness, intellectualism, and bihushi zema. So he says, cast away both hush, is intelligent, intellectual, and bihushi, which is negative of that. Bi negates it. Bihushi in this case means not being intellectual. So wise, wisdom, and lack thereof. Baha'u'llah says that, well, of course, we could be using intelligence and intellectuals and all that to go towards the understanding of God, which he says that we should come to it in the last line. Here it says, but if you, to God says, if you use those melodies, those holy melodies, you can lure us, enamor us towards the truth. We don't need intelligence, or even lack thereof. None of it becomes irrelevant, what that means. The knowledge and lack of it becomes irrelevant when you're going to God. What a spirituality is really is a shortcut towards the God. You can read all the books, you can have all the knowledge and everything. At the end, you have to know, the bottom line is you have to be a good person, goodness, It takes you there, that you should not be jealous, you should not be cruel, you should not be so on and so forth. Or you can have a shortcut. Never mind reading these things or even knowing it. Just simply directly listen to Baha'u'llah when he says don't lie, don't lie. And he says be honest, just be honest. By simple obedience to him, you can make a shortcut. That's what it is. He says, if you lure us, you know what those al-hawna quotes, the melodies, the holy melodies, O our beloved, use that and cast away this game of the intelligence and lack thereof in the way to God. Of course, we need it in other places, we do need it. And in the next line, now it begins in this line actually right to line 1, 2, 3, I think 3 other lines. I don't know if I can explain it tonight because I have to go to another program. It's going to take a long time to talk about this. Then you start to tell us, okay, Baha, what are you going to do for people? He's going to tell us, what is this relationship of God to us? What is really the fate? And that's how it starts. He says, Ey sarafil Baha, ey shawh jan. I forgot to say one word from the upper to hemistics. I told you before that Baha'u'llah's eloquence in this Mathnavi is very amazing, but at the same time, Baha'u'llah, he does not sacrifice the meaning for the sake of words or eloquence. All of a sudden, this line actually is not rhyming, because the word ma and ma is the same thing, so it's not actually a rhyme. So the previous to the ma is yar and the other word is ze. Ze and yar are not rhyming. This line has no rhyme. By the constructions of the Persian poetry, would not be considered poems. It does have the meter and the measure, but is lacking a rhyme. That would be a low grade of poetry by the, But Baha'u'llah does not care. He says it doesn't matter. If he feels to talk like that, so he will. And in other places, all of a sudden, there's 3 rhymes in it. It's just telling to people that it is the way the nature flows. If there's a rhyme, so there is. If there isn't, and then sometimes there's 3, 4 rhymes, and nobody else, can match it. Like the nature. Some of the stuff in nature, some might be looking very simple, other ones very complicated. So going back to the second line, I was starting, Ey sarafil Baha, ey shawh jan. Sarafil, the A is omitted, is actually Israfil, is the name of the angels. I think Christianity you have Michael, in Arabs, Islam has Mikael, which means Michael. Then you have Gabriel, Islam has that too, they call it Jebrail, or Jebrail, Mikael. And then there's one I haven't heard among the Christians, it's called Israel. This is not Israel, which you say Israel, is actually Israel. I'm not talking Israel, I'm saying Israel. Israel is the angel of death. The angel that comes and takes your life away is called Israel. Okay? This Israfil, the translation of it by Sholi Effendi, I remember a long time ago, I hope I'm correct, in the Book of Certitude, he says he translates that as to be seraph, S-E-R-A-P-H, seraph. So, O seraph, Baha'u'llah calls himself Asrafil here. O seraph of Baha the seraph. O the king of the soul. Shah means king. Shah-e means of. Jan means soul. So, O Baha, O seraph, O king of soul. Israfil in Islam is an angel that on the day of resurrection, he takes the trumpet, and the trumpet. I don't know, in the Bible there is some places, but in the Quran it's very clear. To say, raise, big, huge voice, and the trumpet comes, and people rise from the death of their bodies, apparently, and the soul assumes their body, and life begins, on the day of resurrection. That's how the dead bodies, the soul, they go back, speak out in their bodies. Because Muslims and Christians, they believe when Jesus comes or Mahdi comes, all the dead bodies will rise and God will go to the day of reckoning, and He's going to calculate these things. But in the Baha'i faith, we say the Israfil was really Tahirah, which was in the conference of Badash, the first conference when the Baha'is were there. She announced the very first laws of Bab became a practical Baha'i. She took the veil from her face, not from her hair. She still had the hijab that normally women have today, but those days they all had a hijab, in the front of the face, a mask basically that Taliban women have. They had at that time, and she took that off, and people were just going totally berserk on that. One of them cut, his throat. They couldn't understand. This is the holiest of the holy, and she's coming with her face towards people. So, but in this case now, Baha'u'llah calls himself the Seraph. I am the one, he says, I'm calling people to life. A spiritual life, not physical as people have understood. So he says, O Baha, the Israfil. In here it says Sarafil, the Seraph. O King of Soul, یک حیاتی عرضه کن بر مردگان. Yek means one, hayat, a life. Hayat means life. In this case means a spiritual life. Arze, arzekon, give. It's like supply and demand. Arzekon means give. Bar mordegan. Bar means two, mordegan means dead. Morde, plural, is mordegan. If the word in Persian ends to H at the end, like morde or zende, which is not morde, zende means live, morde means dead, we use the word gan at the end to make it plural. So morde, mordegan. So give a life to the dead bodies, to the dead souls. So Baha'u'llah says himself, O Baha, O Sarafil, O Israfil, the one who is supposed to blow in the trumpet so people come to life. O King of Soul, give a spiritual life, give one life, a spiritual life, to the dead, mordegan, bar mordegan. So, in this Mathnavi, Baha'u'llah starts to say that I am going to give you a life, those who are dead. And now we're going to see what is that, and mechanism of it. It's a little bit strange, this way of talking by Baha'u'llah, because if I translate it for you, it will become very confusing. I've written some kind of translation of it for myself in a note. Let's see. You see this word here? Sedre aval بود زقسان دل. Sedre. You ever heard of that in the Baha'i writing? The lot tree, L-O-T-E, lot tree. Sometimes it's just tree, sedre. It has a e, sedre ye. Sedre ye means sedre of. Aval, the first. Bovat is. Zaksan. Ze has to have an aleph here. So it has as aksan. But in poetry, the first A of as is omitted. The aleph, the A in the word aksan, which means branches, also that is omitted. So simply we say zaksan. We're omitting the aleph. We say zaksan, which means as aksan. From, as means from, of, aksan means branches. This is not a reference to the branches of his family, because the family of Baha'u'llah is called aksan, or branches, and the family of Bab is called afnan, which means the boughs. Here aksan simply is meaning branches, the general term. Zaksaun del means heart. So the prime tree is of the branches of heart. What does that mean? Prime tree is of the branches of heart. Is branching from the heart. So branches of heart is the prime tree. Now he says, he wants something to be done about this tree. He says, Varahanash. The actual word is Varahan. She at the end is a pronoun. Means it. Varahanash. Liberated. Emancipated. From what? From the hawa, which is air. O means and. Ab, water. O means and. Gel, which means clay. Let's go back again. Aval means first or prime. Prime tree is of the branches of heart. Liberated from weather, from water, and from clay. What is this going to do to this tree? تاز جوهر و از عرض فارغ شود. Let me look at my own translation. Right. Ta is till, ze again is from. Johar means essence. This vaz again has to have aleph in the middle, is va-az, but in poetry they take the aleph out for the meters of the poetry. So simply they say vaz, which means and of. Araz is the word, is an antonym to Johar. Johar and Araz is a big discussion on the philosophy. Big one. I'm not going to get into it, but I'll say basically what the essence of the matter is in this short time. So he says that tree, he wants that tree till it becomes. Shavat means becomes, faret means, again, emancipated, delivered, to be properly translated. He wants the tree to be delivered from Johar and Araz. Johar means essence. Araz has been translated, even in the writing of in the book of Mufawazat and others, as an accident, accidental. To me, there has to be other different words. I can't think of it right now for you to say it. But these two are synonym antonym. Johar and Araz. So, Johar means essence. Johar of something is the essence of that thing. Okay. Araz, they call it accidental, is because it does not have a being on its own. It will have a being when it is attached to the Johar. Simple example is that when you say a beautiful flower, well, beautiful is not a good example. Let's say a red flower. So the red doesn't really have existence. It's just a definition for the flower. So if the red is gone, the flower still exists. In this case, flower becomes essence, and the color of that flower, which we say red here, it's an araz, it's an accident, it's an accidental being, it's an accidental thing. Johar is essential. So based on this, there's a huge discussion. Go to the Aristotle, go to the Plato, and then the Persians, Mullah Sadra, what it is, and then the essential motion that Mullah Sadra has brought up, and whatnot. Well, I'm not going to get into those things right now, but I'm simply saying that Baha'u'llah says that so the tree to becomes delivered or separated, freed from what? From the essence and accident. Pretty amazing. What's going to happen if it is freed from Johar and Aras? He says, تازه شمعش شمس ها پوزق شود. Till from its candle, she means its. Actual word is sham, not sham, sham. Sham ash means its. So till from its candle, shams means sun, shams ha, suns, bazek, enlightened. So I'm going to go one more time to translate for you in English. You tell me what it means. It says, the prime tree is from the branches of heart. Liberate, emancipated from the weather, the water, and the clay, till it becomes free of essence and accident, till from its candle the suns become enlightened. There's two more lines after this. So it's sort of puzzle. Baha'u'llah is giving us a sort of puzzle, what this puzzle is. I'm going to go to those two lines, and we'll bring the other two lines after this, the other three lines, probably in the next video. Cedre. Cedre is a lot tree. A lot of time in the writing, it's many of them. It's one dictionary. I don't have time to go get it right now for you. But the lot tree, the tree of humanity, many, many times, the tree of life, whenever you see in the writings, that tree is Cedre. Cedre doesn't mean tree, really. It's a tree of some particular tree. It says lot tree, you know. In dictionary, somebody was saying cedar. What actual tree is called Cedre, S-E-D-R. It is the Lebanon, you know, the Lebanon flag, there's a little tree in there. That is called Cedre. The leaf of this Cedre is used to, like a soap, to clean, you know, the hands and whatnot. So, in the Quran, there's a couple of verses. One place, he uses the word Sidratil Muntaha. The last tree. Muntaha means the last, the final tree. The tree at the end, he says. Sidratul Muntaha. A lot of commentators in Islam about the Sidratul Muntaha, they're thinking, that's what they say, it's a tree, I don't know, in seventh heaven, where even the Gabriel, which is the angel of the inspiration, is the angel that actually comes to Muhammad and talks on behalf of God to him. The messenger of God to Muhammad is Gabriel. And Gabriel cannot pass the Sidratul Muntaha. It is a 7, it can't go past that. So all the actions of the people ends up to the Sidratul Muntaha, to that tree. When you think of this, Baha'u'llah says he is the Sidratul Muntaha. He is the final tree, that tree of life. Appropriately. Because in the Quran it says in the day of resurrection God will come and day of reckoning comes. Which means what? It means all the bad and good of you have done again goes back to his table. To the Lot tree, to the Sidratul Muntaha, which is Baha'u'llah. You see? But Baha'u'llah does not talk here about Sidratul Muntaha. He says Sadriya Awwal, the prime tree. Not the Sidratul Muntaha. It's backwards to that, you see. Not the final tree, the prime tree, the first tree. I read in somewhere, I think it was a younger man, that where the Sidratul Muntaha comes from, true or wrong, I don't know. I remember that when Arab they wanted to say something is very long, it is so long, this tree was around probably in those areas, they would say, oh, as long as Sidratul Muntaha is as long as the last Cedr, the tree of Cedr. Okay? Which means, like, no one has gone to see how far these trees are going. So the length of the trees, apparently there were so many of them, like a row, that they would see as long as the last tree. So it was a simile, it was an example, it was a saying that they were using to explain something that's very long, you know. And that's where it's come from. But it has been used in Quran as Sidratul Muntaha. That is the tree. And Baha'u'llah clearly says he is the Sidratul Muntaha, the Lot tree. And he says Aqsan, which means the branches that come from him, like Abd'l-Baha. He is the Sidratul Muntaha. But here he talks about the prime tree. Is the branches of heart. In these things, the subject is open for discussion. If somebody wants to add something to it, go ahead. But my problem is that I cannot learn from somebody. I wish I die, somebody teach me something. Nobody is able. That's the problem. Their field is different from me, I guess. And the rest of them that are Muslims and this and that, they're all regurgitating subjects of the past. They don't have anything of their own to explain some puzzles like this. And why is it written like that? Baha'u'llah usually does not talk in a puzzling language, except few places, one of them in hidden words. But this one is the puzzle. What is this prime tree, which is the branches of heart? And he wants it to not to be contaminated with the weather, water and clay, because it wants to be liberated from the essence and accident, because it wants from its candle the suns to get enlightened. What is this? The whole scheme of this is very simple. Baha'u'llah is talking about relationship of God to man. When God comes and says, hello mankind, he shakes his hands to create the relationship, a friendship, the feeling, the inner feeling that you have for your Creator, for your God, in your most private time, whoever you are, when you're in trouble, when you're lonely. That relationship, he says. See, he calls that prime. So, it's a tree though, he says. First tree. Your heart is the one that relates to God, isn't it? So this tree is branching from your heart. Okay? Your heart goes towards that. Branches from heart. That's the first tree. But these trees always gets contaminated with the water, with the clay. This is a simile, of course, because this is a spiritual tree. The water and the weather and the clay is not bothering it. But there is a metaphysical weather and the water and clay that bothers this tree. Oh yeah, I have seen people in Iran I don't want to mention their names, but I could see them standing the dagger and die for Baha'u'llah. I see that they do. They would. They come to Canada, years passed, 10 years, 15 years, they completely forgot about it. These guys are questioning even if Baha'u'llah is the real one, if there's a God. The whole thing is hoax. Come on, they tell me that, come on man, we're in the 21st century, what are these things? Hocus pocus. It's the stories of the past. I couldn't believe my ear. That these are the born Baha'is, the new generation. Son of the big martyrs. They talk like that, you know. Then I remember the feeling they had, so strong, it went to the clay and the water and the weather of Western culture. Died. I gave this example before. I'll give you another example. It's my firm belief, and I've seen that too. The guys, the Muslims, heavy-duty Muslims, he would readily kill his wife for honor killing from Afghanistan, from I don't know wherever. These men are staunch Muslims who wear a big beard like that, shave his head, everyday praise and everything else. It just happened to have in the office a beautifully sexy Canadian blonde girl. He puts his head down, doesn't look at her, but gradually she got into him. She turns around, shows her legs, and then smiles at him, gradually penetrated the guy. Finally the guy had sex with her. The beard was gone, the hair grew, the guy stopped going to mosque, killed the religion, killed completely this feeling of God and everything else. The damn thing's like an acid, just washed it away. As if there was no faith in these guys. Was there or wasn't? If it wasn't, why this guy for so many years, he was a staunch Muslim, gave money, donations and everything else, and all of a sudden died? Baha'u'llah recognized that feeling. He says it's true, it's there, the relationship with God. It just did not have the shield over it. This weather and the water and the gel probably would be women. You see, weather, the changes that comes, you know. It has a metaphysical meaning, weather, even in English. The guy is weathered, they say. So people got weathered here. Weathered and withered with it. They withered away. What? That tree was the feeling in their heart. It was not liberated, it was not protected, and it got killed. So, this is what is this water and the clay it means. Now he's talking about that tree bow. So he says, I want that not to go through these drastic measures, drastic changes, viruses really, bacteria to kill it. Why? He says, I want that to be he's going to say what purity he wants for it. Never mind the water. He says, I want it to be so pure, to be freed from the essence and from araz. I said essence is johar. Okay. Araz means like clothes. I give you the example. Like the red flower. Red is an araz, is an accidental thing on the flower. If the red goes, flower doesn't die, flowers are still there. Okay, there's one flower, but it could be red, it could be blue, it could be white. So it's an adjective. It's not the actual thing. That's called johar. But the discussion from this is big. I'm not going to get into the philosophy, but I'm going to say simple things to you. Thanks to Einstein, Albert Einstein. He said to us that things are relative, you know. Time is relative. Space is relative. If we go to the prime directive of Abd'l-Baha says spiritual realm and the physical realm, they are, you know, coinciding. That one is the shadow of the other one. Parallel universe. A parallel, you know, existence. Not universe, existence. In that case, I would say that the word essence is simply a relative matter. So, in the case of flower, red becomes an araz, adjective, accidental things, whereas the flower is essence. But is it relative to what? It is an essence relative to the color of red. But if I say the flower itself is an accidental thing, as relative to sepals, to petals, to gynoecium, to androeciums. I was in India studying botanical course, so I know androecium, gynoecium, the male and female part of the flower, within the flower. So we can say that in this case, if the flower dies, flower becomes an accidental thing as opposed to gynoecium, androecium, sepals, petals. But is the sepal, which is the leaf, or the petal, which is the flower, you know, the flower leaf, or the gynoecium, are they essential? Not really. Relative to flower, yes, but not relative to the molecules. So the molecules seems to be more essential than the actual sepal or the gynoecium or the petal. Are the molecule essentials? Yes, relative to a higher compound, but compared to atom, molecule can die. Atom doesn't die. H2O, the water is made out of, you know, 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen. The water dissolves. It doesn't have any essence when it comes to the atom of hydrogen and oxygen. You take it like this, then you find out even hydrogen is not essential because it's made out of particles. Particles are not essential. They're made out of quarks. What is then essential? No one knows. Baha'u'llah says, is the word he uses. He says that the quintessence of everything. He said that is the truth, even I don't know, he says. All the prophets of God, all the chosen ones, all the sages, unanimously confess to their incapacity to comprehend that quintessence of everything. So this matter of essence, an accident, or johar and araz, as the Arab and Persian brings it up, is a relative issue. You see? When we come down here, let me bring the matter of the johar and araz, take from the material things into something more spiritual, religion. Abd'l-Baha explains, where some answer questions. This is religions of 2 parts. essential parts, which is the goodness, which is bravery, which is qualities, spiritual quality, which is the same in all the religions, he says. It doesn't change. That's the essential teachings. Then he says there's the changeable part, which is araz, which is accidental. It does not have the essentiality of that main part of the religion. What refers to the laws and the commandment that in every religion changes, such as prayer, fasting, and this and that. So that becomes the essence, the religion in general. That's what we say the foundations of all the religions are one in our Baha'i faith. We mean all the essence are the same. All the religions, they teach brotherhood and goodness and this and that. So they're all one. What's then araz to that? These laws that change. So Baha'i faith is an araz, is an accidental things over the essential religion. So is Islam, so is Christianity. Why? Because Baha'i faith changes. But a religion doesn't die, it stays. Okay, Baha'u'llah goes further. He says that the religion as such that is brought by the Moses, Jesus, Abraham, Krishna and whatnot, which has two parts. The one part we call it Johar or foundation that doesn't change, and changeable part. And the other part that changes. He says he wants that feeling to be freed even from the essential part of the religion. He says it's not even that. It's deeper than that. How many people have never ever heard, have no religion? I don't know what's the religion of Nelson Mandela. Let's say, just per se, because I adore this individual, he has no religion. Known religion. From Adam right to Baha'u'llah. Krishna, Buddha, none of it. He's into something else. Or is it not in anything at all? Could we say this man doesn't have faith in him? He does. He does very much so. Or man of 1,000,000 years ago. What's Adam? 5,000 years ago? Indian religion, 12,000 years ago, where Bob refers to about 12,000? What about before 12,000 years ago? 15,000 years ago? There was no faith as such, authentically from God among these people. Wasn't there faith? So you see, what we call faith as the unchangeable part, even that is not essential, an essence of the religion. This feeling, Baha'u'llah says, that comes from the heart towards God is deeper than that. He says, I want that faith not to be entangled even into the changeable or unchangeable part of the religion. It has to even be freed from that, because that might create prejudice. Isn't it, he says in the 7 valleys? The hate and the love that we have towards certain people, object, subject, that might sway us away from the truth. I want that to be all cleaned up. Wow. So deeply you have to go in your investigation, in your relationship to God. Now, if the changeable part of the religion is atoms as we know it, Baha'u'llah is talking about particles. He's talking about the quarks. He's talking about that so essential feeling that you have towards your God. Such a subtlety is that one. This is that tree that comes from the heart. Not to get contaminated, but this be weathered by the water and this and that. But I want it to be liberated from any accidental things on him. Because when you say Christianity, all of a sudden it comes with a lot of things on it. When you say Islam, it has a lot of things around it, even Baha'i faith. They're all aras, he says. Simply because you're following the Baha'i things or the Muslim things, customs and traditions and up and downs, those are not faith. Often, they are like a lottery ticket that's empty inside. There's no winning. So often people go around the shrine not knowing what's buried in there. It could be a dog. They joke in Iran because in every village there is one shrine of some saint. They say it is impossible to have that many thousands of saints. So simply people, to make money, they buried a dog there and they said, oh yeah, this is the son of 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 the fifth Imam was passing by here and he died here. And we had a dream about it. And they collect money from people. Sometimes it's like that. Aren't the Muslims adoring Islams from outside? Going towards the fasting, prayers, mosque, all traditions? Nothing is inside it. They're worshipping the cloth of Muhammad, the robe of Muhammad. Muhammad is not in it. So are the Christians. Don't think we Baha'is are any exceptions. Lots of time we do things which seemingly are Baha'is with no Baha'u'llah inside it. None. We made up something around something. That's all araz, he says, Baha'u'llah. The things that has entered over the actual body of the essence. He says that has to be, that feeling should not be mingled with that. But it goes further, it says that don't also think that it has to be called religion as such as we know from Adam to here. It could be something different from these things. It could be the feeling of a man 6 million years ago. That feeling. A very strange story, very nice, beautifully, I remembered, from Rumi, the famous Rumi. Baha'u'llah's quote from him more than anybody else. Here's this story of Moses passing by one day, and he is hearing a shepherd that he's talking to God. He says, oh God, my beloved, where are you that I become your servant? I get the comb, combing your hair. A lot of stuff. He's thinking God as a person that he loves to taking him as a human. Moses here that what are you saying? These are all blasphemy. God doesn't have a hair for you to comb his hair. Or serve him as you think. The poor shepherd says, Moses, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. Moses comes back. He thought he did a good things. It's a story, of course. God backs to Moses. He says, what did you tell to that man? He says, sir, you said that all of these things are wrong. You said it to Abraham, to Noah. I just tried to guide him to not to say that. He said you broke his heart. For what he is, what he says is correct. Go apologize from him. He goes back, apologize. What religion that man was following? Not that of the Moses. Not what God said to Moses to go. This fellow is outside of what we call even essential faith. Another story, I just remember also of Attar, which was before Rumi. He says that Gabriel heard that God is talking to somebody. He said, God, we don't have any prophet in the earth that God's talking to. Maybe this is some other heavens, even the second heaven, the third heaven, the fourth heaven, the fifth heaven, but nobody found. He says, God, I'm hearing that you're talking, answering somebody. I went everywhere, I couldn't find him. God says, okay, go to certain village, I go certain place. And he goes everywhere, there's nobody. I was just about to be disappointed. He hears somebody's talking to an idol, an actual idol. And my God, he's crying in front of this idol so badly, you know. Gabriel says that can't be. God already had ordered to Abraham to destroy all the idols. This man is an idol worshipper. He goes back to God. I couldn't find him. God says, yes, that was him. I was talking to him. He goes back, he says, actual idol is responding to this man. He said, God, I'm confused. You just brought and said that no idol worshipping. This man's calling idol worshipping. God says, you did not understand the meaning of idol, Gabriel. You did not understand the meaning of idol. There is no idol there. That feeling, you see, that purity, that essence, it cannot be measured like this. Be very careful in judging. Very, very careful. I have another story right here in Montreal. This I remember. Some fellow, his name is Ali, he was a Muslim, became Baha'i. He says that he was in Montreal, heard one junkie, really junkie. Long time ago, we had a crime, I guess those days for a small crime, they put the guy for 10 years, 15 years into jail. So I was in jail, and he comes out, they come back at him, they tell him that, yeah, a few months more, you didn't serve enough. Really, they took him back that he has to go serve another, I don't know, 3-4 months. Next time when he goes, he finds the Baha'i books for some reasons. He studied and he becomes Baha'i. And he comes and gets the book, and he goes to the book, it's just, son of a bitch, it's all true. Oh, son of a gun, son of a bitch, it's all true. He says, we were laughing our guts that this guy, how he talks, you know, that the book of Baha'u'llah is in front of him. I said, what did you do, Ali, to him? He said, nothing. He was like so sincere, the way he's conducting himself. So, 3 examples. So what we know as Johar, which is unchangeable part of the religion, Baha'u'llah says, I want that feeling, not even to be in that. Do not give it any dimensions. Do not give it any border. It's deeper than that. But it is a small, very weak. Because he says, Tawz Sham'ash, till from its candle existence, Shams ha, the suns, Bawzek Shabbat, become enlightened. The suns get enlightened from that candle. It's amazing, isn't it? Pretty much like the nature. You hear in the nature that there's one hydrogen, million years waiting, finally finds another hydrogen. They create one molecule of hydrogen. By a greater gravity, they're like this little candle. But get the 3rd one, and the 4th one, and the 5th one, and they become big, 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 to the point they create a sun that we see. So sometimes there's a little candle somewhere, you know. But that candle, the suns, the actual suns, they get light from it because they are not original. The original is such a small, simple things. I often say God is the simplest things. When I look at children, I see the innocence in the children. I always say, God is a child. He only grows to become a human. Isn't Jesus says you have to be like children to come to the heaven. Process is from simplicity, the Baha'i evolution, I've talked about it, from simplicity we go to the complexity. That simplicity of that candle And that feeling can make the sons to follow it. So, I've talked about this. I'm going to have to go another 3 lines to explain this. We're not done. So I'm going to say what this puzzle look like and how we, try to bring it up. The prime tree is from the branches of heart, liberated from the weather, the water and the clay, till it becomes freed from the essence and accidents, till from its candle the suns become enlightened. It looked like a puzzle, not anymore. He called that the prime tree, as opposed to himself, which is the final tree, Sidrat al-Muntaha. It's the biggest, the final, he says Baha'u'llah is. But the Sidrat al-Muntaha, which is him, what is the first Sidra? Which is the first tree, the prime tree, is the one that God has in the heart of the people. That's his relationship, the feeling that you have for him. In whichever framework that you have understood to be. They asked Bob, how many ways are to God? He says, as many as there are people. Everyone is unique. Everyone has his own chair. Everyone can draw God in his own writing, in his own handwriting. So, I'm going to continue this, because there's 3 more lines, that what is the use of the Baha'i faith then? And the religion? They're accidental. They're not essential. What are they? I'm going to discuss it in the next one. Oh, Baha'u'llah.